Welcome to 10-Ton Potato, the podcast where we talk about actual productivity on the Office 365 stack. Sadly, Brad isn't with us today, but instead, we're joined by the awe-inspiring technical evangelist, Christian Buckley. Those that haven't come across C-Buck before, I don't know how. His name is synonymous with MVP in SharePoint, Teams, Copilot. He's an author. He's the Microsoft Regional Director. He's a marketer supreme. If you have ever been to a Microsoft event, you probably should have come across him at SharePoint Saturday, Collab Days, or any of the Microsoft events as well. So, Christian, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here. As I say, if you've not heard of me yet, I don't have the sticker up. I should have that ready to go of "Don't you know who I am" sticker. But
well, maybe you can just send the head behind you, and then people won't forget you ever.
That's right.
Yeah. Yep. So I can see from your background that you're different to usual, and understand that you've just moved from Utah to Texas. What's going on there? Is that the new IT world?
Still unpacking. We'll be unpacking for a while here, and this shelf unit, I've been telling people you're supposed to construct it with two people. I did it in just under 6 hours by myself.
Oh, wow. Well done.
It was a big mistake. Anyway, but it's like if there's a tornado or an earthquake, this is now the safest structure to get underneath in the house. So,
yeah. Oh, and it's right where you're doing your work. So that's really important, right?
That's right.
Yeah. I, on the other hand, have a fake background because my wife has been unpacking boxes for 2 months. So I can't even get into my garage. So there we go. I feel your pain.
She can. My wife can park in the garage. I cannot. Yeah. That's how it goes.
Awesome. So, Christian, tell us about how things are going in the USA, and specifically today, we're going to be talking about AI. And obviously, I watched the latest Inspire, and you see the guys talking. What are you finding in the market? How are you finding the uptake in the market in the US?
I think it's the last 2 years, the most common phrase is like, we're piloting, we're trying out, and we're experimenting with things, which is a good thing. Like, I was in the camp of, as soon as they removed that 300 headcount threshold, so an individual like my MVP account, my personal tenant, I could go and get a Copilot and run it there. I was all over that because I know that the $30 a month per user, like I get that value myself just out of the meetings that I'm doing, out of the analysis of the content that's already in my system. But most organizations, they still need some convincing. What's the value there? And so you'll see like large organizations that have 5,000, 10,000 employees will be running a pilot with 50 people. And but you see more and more organizations that are organically growing that. I just got done with an adoption deployment of that, which is exactly like that. And we had I think it was a 40% add-on during the adoption strategy while we were helping roll out and train end users on this, that we saw as they were spreading the good word of AI, that more people were like, hey, I can get value out of this. I'm interested in the licenses. So, which is what they were going for. They didn't want to just blanket give everyone licenses. They wanted people to see what it is, see what it actually does, see how it can impact their productivity, and then request the licenses.
Yeah, and I think that's a great approach. I think what we're seeing in the market, and it's interesting to hear that from the States, because we're seeing that the same in South Africa and the UK, is that people are struggling with use cases. And specifically around autonomous agents. They don't understand autonomous agents. They understand typing in an instruction, but actually getting an AI to run itself and do its own thing, we're finding that very hard to explain to end users.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that there's, having written an article on this just recently, which I'm sure you read, Craig, yeah, of course.
Oh, of course.
It's actually, wrote it out on the Smarter Consulting blog, but it was talking about the different agent types. There is still a lot of nervousness around just letting AI loose to go take actions on its own. And honestly, I mean, it's understandable. I mean, the hallucination Sorry, I just wanted to get into a Meat Beat Manifesto song, hallucination, generation. Anyway,
Your childhood.
hallucinations it's a real thing. And so if you think about that, like if the AI is getting the facts wrong and then making decisions and taking actions based on the wrong data, that's of concern. And so there need to be checks. There need to be like checks and balances in how you construct these things, and it needs to be componentized. Like the architecture of those autonomous agents is a whole topic in itself. To go and build something that's going to take multiple actions, it can be scary very quickly.
Which I think where Copilot Studio has actually got it right in that there you can focus on the knowledge that you wanted to train it on and not open it up to the entire model, therefore eliminating those hallucinations to some degree, but also the fact that all of the integration there is pretty much the Power suite with Power Automate and the likes pulling in the data and doing all of the lifting for you. But very interesting there when you're talking about hallucinations. I mean, we drink the Microsoft Kool-Aid, right? We go to the conferences, etc. Or how are you finding them in or their offerings in comparison to other AI competitors?
Yeah, I think what you just described is probably the biggest difference. Is that, I mean, there's the whole, I think it's a meaningless argument of who's ahead in a certain area or not. I mean, Microsoft, while it might not be the fastest, is pulling back the result of something because it's doing a lot of other workload that the pure cloud AI platforms, like Gemini, is great. I've been playing with. Went and built some bots with the latest version of Gemini. Sorry, gems instead of bots. They all have to have their branding on top of that. And it's incredibly powerful. And so while it's ahead in some areas, it doesn't have the integration into the Microsoft Productivity Suite, into Office. It doesn't do those other things. And like you said, it's going out and, while again, you can point it at a certain specific subset of data. For me, be able to go into SharePoint, for example, and I already have all of the data that I'm looking for. I always use as an example, Craig, I'm sure it's a use case, an example that you use from like an HR standpoint and like the employee handbook. If I've got the employee handbook sitting in a library in SharePoint and some other documentation that's part of new employee introduction, onboarding, whatever that's in there, if I then go to that SharePoint library and build an agent right there, that's all it sees. It cannot go and try and answer. You do have to use some knowledge still, like even then, to instruct it that when you don't have the answer, when the question doesn't exactly fit the scenario, it's okay to answer back, I don't know, or please clarify. Or my favorite thing is automate going to HR saying, here's a question that we don't answer to, and immediately put you in touch with the person in HR to answer the question real time. And then build out the FAQs, build out the library. So there are safeguards in that. But that's the main issue, that people will go in their beta testing and their experimentation, they still have those concerns. Yes, it's faster in returning an image, even though now the latest build with Copilot and Sora and doing whatever other integrations, the version that came out like a month ago, it's incredibly fast. The Clipchamp stuff, and like it's really good. And is becoming my default AI image creator now.
Okay.
But
you create a lot of imagery.
I do.
Yeah. I've seen it on most of your shows and all the rest. But now everything that you're pointing towards here speaks to governance, right? So I think there are a bunch of shortfalls, but where these people are piloting Copilot, and then the rest of the business is probably using a ChatGPT, a Gemini, a DeepSeek, whatever. How much of a training do you think it is that these people are actually passing their work information into these systems and just foregoing governance? Are you seeing that in the market?
I'm not in the deployments that I've done there. They've been pure Microsoft. So I'm sure that there are teams or individuals that are using other solutions, and it's just like any other third-party tool. The problem is that stuff is generally done outside of the purview of IT. Yes, dude, I did
like
there.
what you did there.
Yeah, thank you.
I got that.
Did I need to do this heavier? you know no, but I mean, so they're just like a lot of third-party tools. So somebody went and started using Dropbox, and again, it's unregulated, it's outside of the view of IT to be able to know what's going on. That person then always say, gets hit by a bus. Why is it always so violent? Why can't they just gently leave the company? They leave the company. Anyway, they're no longer present there, and you have no idea this IP is sitting outside of the firewall. And so that's the danger with some of these other solutions, is that you don't know what people are experimenting. You don't know what they're uploading there. And so getting in front of this, like anything, I always, it's like training a puppy or a toddler. You can't just take something away from them. You have to replace it. And so, give them the other shiny object. But if you can give them that, in that environment, that closed environment where it's controlled, where it's sandboxed, then that's what you want. But put the puppy in the sandbox, because then you can easier clean up, folks.
Most certainly.
But that's then you let them loose to go experiment. And one of the things that I kept saying over and over again in these customer trainings is, you're not going to break anything. I mean, the reality is that there's a very tiny chance you could break something, but not likely. Go have at it, go and create. You can always delete these agents that you experiment with, clean out the history, kind of whatever those things are, but go experiment. Create a SharePoint site that is brand new, that is just a test location. Add your content into it and experiment building agents again. That when you're done, delete all of that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the way you kind of keep it clean.
And that's how I suppose we as technical folk start learning these things. In any case, we set up our dev environments and head away. I think the area that's worrying me at the moment, which I'm sure you're keeping a close eye on, the Model Context Protocol, MCPs, being your de facto kind of integrator for your on-premise information, or not even on-premise, could be in the cloud. But now suddenly they're having all of these security issues and vulnerabilities where people are hacking into your data, and you've got teams of people just downloading MCP examples off of GitHub and publishing those into their production environments. Where do you think this is going to go? I mean, is it just a case of this is new technology that Anthropic sent out that is going to be extended and strapped on, or do you think there's going to be a different approach specifically for Microsoft-focused data?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, that it's the security is not my area. But I mean, the broader governance discussion is that like I'm very much of the philosophy that sprawl is a good thing. Yes, I know it's a big mess. There's a bunch of work that go and clean that up, but ultimately sprawl means people are trying things, they're using things. And I think that's where we are here. You do your best to put the controls in place to guide them on, here's how you can go play with this technology. The wrong thing to do is lock it down and assume, and none of my people will go in and do the wrong thing. Yeah, they just won't tell you about what they're doing. So that's how shadow IT starts. So the more that you can go and review it. Now, I know that there's recommendations early on about using kind of a center of excellence, approach to all of this, similar to, because I do think it's similar to, like with Power Platform. You should have some standards, give some guidance, let people unfettered within those guardrails go and play. Say, here's where you can play, here's how you should do it. Like, provide the best practices for experimenting. And then, when you see somebody that's going and doing things that are beyond that scope, they're playing with these other models, just make sure that they're doing it in a safe way. I mean, it's the wrong thing to do is slap somebody's hand and just, hey, they're trying to experiment. They're trying to learn about this technology. You want people that know this technology and know the scope of it, but just understand their method and then guide them back into a safer way of doing that. If you can't talk about it,
to read all and write back functionality in the POCs.
Well, if you're not allowing people to talk about what they're doing and sharing that information, then it doesn't mean that they're not going to do it. They're just going to hide those facts. And you want to have an open discussion about what people in sharing of that technology so that you can learn from and get the most out of the technology. Because the other side of this is that you want to learn from successes and failures, and you can't do that if you're a closed down shop. Okay.
Awesome. So this AI world is taking over. You look at the likes of the Googles, the Amazons, the Facebooks. They're removing many of their technical roles, or they're cutting down on many of their technical roles. So what's the future in terms of the roles of technical evangelists, MVPs, and the like, and consultants in this new world of AI?
I just think that, clearly, we'll automate everything and we'll just lie back in the lap of luxury and just enjoy the productivity happening around us while cash just pours in from these automated things. Of course, Craig.
And you chose Dallas to do that in. That's interesting choice.
I went to a place where the city of Dallas-Fort Worth has more than double the population of the entire state of Utah. Yes, that's what I.
You were missing some conversation.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Christian, that was actually pretty much all of my questions for today. I'm excited for the future. I don't see the technical evangelists and MVPs of this world going away. I think we from everything that you're describing, people don't really know how to build solutions. They want to get more productive, and I think that role is hopefully still available for us suckers out there who thought that IT was the be all and end all. But hopefully,
can I just say that right where you started though, of that organizations want to better understand the use cases. That is the job like to be done right now. Microsoft is still pitching all their marketing. There's not enough content. There's not enough out there for organizations of how do I actually leverage this technology, get more out of it. That role is ready to be filled by those of us in this space. So
yeah, which is an absolutely awesome opportunity.
Yep.
But most importantly, you made some interesting comments about potentially coming back to South Africa for a show sometime.
I would love to get back there for that. I know that there's a stars that need to be aligned, and looking at what's going on with now that I'm with all this gray and 5 grandkids and figuring out what
even talk to me
activities. I know. Well, I can see it there, Craig. Mine comes in the same way. It's mostly white down here, so. Yeah.
Sad to think that when we first met, there was none of this on either of us. But anyway,
it was all this color everywhere. Yeah.
Either way, we've got collab days coming up in September. Hopefully, we can convince you and a couple of the other internationals through. But thank you so much for your time, and good luck with the Unpack.
Thank you so much, Craig. Always great to see you.
It's always great to see you too. Have a wonderful day and enjoy the weather. Here in Cape Town, it's freezing at the moment. It's rainy. It's like nothing you've ever seen. So
we don't
summer.
Have that. Yeah, we don't have that. It's just warm.
Awesome. Christian, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks a lot.